So, welcome class 5 in your another chapter, that is A Shelter So High. It is a story of a boy named Gaurav Jani, and he actually loved to visit different type of places along with its own vehicle, that is motorcycle, and he called his motorcycle name Loner. So, Loner is the name of his motorcycle, and he used that motorcycle and he go everywhere wherever he wants. So, now I and my motorcycle wait for a chance to get away from the busy, crowded and noisy city of Mumbai. So, that means this Gaurav lives in Mumbai, and sometimes he become bored of this crowdy place. So many persons are there in the Mumbai, it's a crowded city. So, he wants to go out of the Mumbai, but he never travel in any other vehicle. He always go by his loner or by his own motorcycle. So, let me tell you about amazing journey of the highest roads in the India. So, he wanted to go somewhere in the beautiful place as well as that is not very crowded. So, he has chosen some Himalayan part, and he has got the journey from Mumbai to Ladakh, and it was a very interesting journey, and it was a high road he has ever used. So, getting ready, this journey took about 2 months. I had to carry everything on my motorcycle, as he was not interested to take any hotel, he was not interested to take any kind of privilege from the city, and he wanted to complete his journey of his own, and wherever he wanted he stay there within his tent. So, I had to plan and collect all the things. What were the things he packed? Small tent, sleeping bag, plastic sheet, warm clothes and food that would remain fresh for some days. I also took my camera, extra can for petrol. Loner and I felt Mumbai. So, they have left the Mumbai along with few of the things. There were some food which could stay for some time, petrol was there, plastic sheets were there, its own tent, and some necessary things were in his luggage. Now, it took me 3 days to cover 1400 kilometer, that means 1400 kilometer from Mumbai to Delhi. So, it was a long journey. 1400 kilometer journey is from Mumbai to Delhi at first. I was hoping to see something new and different in the Delhi, but Delhi looks just like the Mumbai. I am tired of looking the same kind of houses made of cement, brick, glass and steel. So, there were both are very famous city, both are big cities, they both are metropolis cities. So, the things, the culture are almost same. In Delhi you will see same tall building, in Mumbai the same thing is there, only the difference is in Delhi you will not get any kind of seashore, whereas Mumbai has, but both are very crowded, noisy and same type of building. Now, I was excited. I had seen pictures of houses in many books. So, he wanted to see some different type of houses which are having the sloping roof covered with the snow. I packed more things in the Delhi and continue in 2 days. We were in Manali. So, at first he came to Manali. It was so refreshing to be in the mountain and breathe the clear air. Manali is a hilly station, and it is in Himachal. So, he become very refreshed because he came out from a crowded place, and now he is in a fresh air of Manali in the hills. And we had to travel through difficult road of state of Jammu and Kashmir to reach Leh in Ladakh. But his goal was to go in Leh and Ladakh. That's why he started from Mumbai. At first he came to Delhi, and again he has brought some necessary things from the Delhi. Then again he started, and at first hill station he stayed there, it was Manali, and he become refreshed in the Manali. Then again he started for Jammu Tawi state, and he had to go to Leh and Ladakh. Now, new home. Loner and I were covering long distances each day. All I needed was food, a tent to protect myself from the cold night air. My nylon tent was so small that I could just about to fit into sleep. So, he was covering the places, he had food and he had a tent. So from the anywhere he can put the tent, but the atmosphere was so harsh, and in hilly stations, you know, in the night the season is become very harsh, not season, the weather become very harsh, and the air is so cold, and for protecting himself from the surrounding weather, he had one nylon tent, and it was so little, it was actually a little tent where he could accommodate himself only. Lunar stood guard outside the tent, so his tent was outside and he stayed the night inside the tent. Now cold desert, and then in the morning the birds, the voices, the beautiful voices of the birds, and birds woke him, because in hilly areas we know sun rises, and everybody become active with the sunrise, because sunrise is actually giving some warmth in the hilly area, and the people become so happy and gay. Now cold desert. At last Loner and I reached Leh. For the first time I saw such a area, high, dry and flat. So Leh is actually in Jammu and Kashmir state, but it is not so hilly area, it is a flat land and cold desert. That means the snow is in the it is in a form of powdery form, and it seems to be just like the sand, the everywhere you will see, but flaky flaky ice flakes, and the powdered ice you will see everywhere. That's why it is called the cold desert, and temperature is so low that no vegetation you can find in this cold desert. Okay, here there are high snow capped mountains and cold flatlands. In Leh I found myself in a quiet street which was very beautiful white house. As I rode slowly, found that I was following by a group of children. So there are homestay. Actually in the Leh Ladakh, you will nowadays you will find some kind of hotels are there also, lots of hotels are there also, but this person Gaurav wanted to stay somewhere in the homestay, the persons who make them paying guest, isn't it? So that he come to know about their culture and how they lead their life in this cold desert. That's why he stayed in the homestay, and he has chosen a person whose name was, they at first they welcomed him by say Jule Jule. Jule Jule means welcome, welcome, and then one small child almost dragged him. His name was Tashi. So Tashi dragged him into his house, and it was made up of stone, and which were kept one over the other. The wall were coated with the thick layer of mud and lime. So it was a very genuine house, which generally the hilly areas, in the hilly areas you will find this type of houses whose roof are made up of wood, whose floors and roof both are made up of roofs, and their walls are so thick, and harshly and merely you will get the window, because these houses are so cold, outside weather is so cold, so they generally make it packed house, so that everything will become comfortable, and it can be become little bit warmer inside the house. So the wooden steps reached the first floor. At first he went to the first floor and explained Tashi, this is the where we stay. Tashi said that in this first floor we will stay. The ground floor is our animal and the storing things necessary. So the necessary things they keep in the store in the ground, and when there is too much cold, weather becomes so harsh, that time all the people they go in the downside and they stay in the ground, because it is more warmer place. Thick tree trunks are used to make the roof strong. We know the wooden things makes the house little bit warmer, because they do not allow the harsh weather or the cold air to go inside, and they makes a film of air which is using as a insulating layer, and they make the inside the house become so warm. Tashi then took me to the roof of his house. What a view! I could see the same flat roof all around. So all around the same type of houses were there, and they have laid some chilies, corn and pumpkin too dry. Why they have kept them too dry? Because they kept these things too dry so that these things become dry, because in the cold season they do not get any fresh vegetables, any fresh things. So that's why they have kept these things in the roof so that they become dry and they can store them. As I stood there with Tashi, I could see how every part of the house was built especially to suit the needs of his people. I could understand how the thick wall, a wooden floor and a wooden ceiling protect them from the cold. So we know the wooden ceiling, wooden roof, wooden floor, these all are actually protecting the person from the cold. That's why these houses, floor and ceiling, these all are made up of wood. Now, next question, next page 124, people living on the top of the world. So, now was the time to climb to higher. Lunar and tough time zigzagging along the narrow rocky mountain road. At many places there were no roads at all. Then he again started his journey, but this time he was finding the roads were very cracky, because these places generally people do not visit these places. So these are not well maintained and these roads are very cracky and zigzag type. So at many places there were no road at all. It was moving towards the rocky plains of Changpa. The place is height almost 5,000 meters. So it is so high, where the oxygen is also less. It is so high that difficult to breathe normally, because as higher altitude we move, the density of the air become lesser and it become layer of the thinner air and it become less air. So for many days we kept wandering in the area with not a single human being is sight. So no petrol pump, no mechanics, only clear blue sky and many beautiful lakes around. So ultimately from this dangerous road he has went to Changpa or the Changthang. So there he didn't see any petrol pump, there was nothing artificial, no shops were available to buy the things. Only the natural beauty was there, blue sky, many beautiful lakes around, all around the Changthang. Many days and nights passed. Loner I kept moving ahead. Suddenly one morning I saw before me flat grassy land. Then from the snows he ultimately come to the grassy land. Many sheep and goat were grazing there. Far in the distance I saw some tents. I wondered who lived there and who come doing the far out places. And he become very wondered that the people who came to this deserted place to visit, but he was very happy to see the grassy land, because he has crossed so many snowy places and he had seen the different type of houses which were present in the Kashmir, then in the Leh, then Ladakh, and then he came to what is the name? The Changthang. And where moving from the Changthang he has seen many grassy lands, where if the grassy lands are there, then you will see the sheep, goats, all were present in that ground. Now the Changpa. In the Changpa he met with the Nagyal and come to know about the Changpa, a tribe living on the mountain. So Changpa is a group of tribe people who live in the mountain. Changpa tribe has about 5,000 people. The Changpas are always on the move with the goats and sheep. So it is a tribal community who move with their sheep. The member in the Changpa community, they have 5,000 members. Their goats are their only treasure. In a family has more animal, it is considered more rich and important. So in their tribe, the family which are having more goats, they are supposed to be rich family in that clan or in that group. From these special goats, and it is considered more rich, from these special goats they get wool for making the world famous Pashmina wool. So this is the place, or Changpa is the tribe who take the hairs from these sheep and the finest and the world famous Pashmina wool is being made in this place. The Changpa graze their goat at higher and colder places so that the goats have more softer hair. So as far as they take their goats for grazing, and how much the colder is the place, their fur become more soft and good. It is very difficult condition because that is they stay high up in their mountains, and high up in the mountain staying in the night is very difficult for them. So where these goats can live, this is their life and their livelihood. So because the goats and the sheep are only their livelihood, they make the wool and they sell them in a high price. So that's why they are living in the harsh condition, because this is their livelihood and this is the only source of their income. I was carrying very little of my belonging on my motorcycle, but the Changpa carry everything they own of their horses and the yaks. So they are having the yaks where they carry their whatever their belongings for making the food, for bed and sleeping bags, these all are their needs, they carry with them. Okay, so it is a clan, as it is a group of tribal people. So among them they enjoy themselves, they make fun, they celebrated their festivals and all. Now it takes them only 2.5 hours to pack everything and move ahead. Within no time they put up their tents at a chosen place. The luggage is unpacked and their homes are ready. As they are habituated of this type of life, so what is called, they are nomadic people, isn't it? Because they are moving from one place to another. Within half an hour they just make their houses clean, they just tie them, they just pack their luggage, and within half an hour again they rebuild their houses and they make the community where they have to live. Okay, so you can almost welcome into our home, said Namgyal as he led me to the big cone shaped tent. And where the Nagmayal was living, it was a big cone shaped tent. They call their tent Ribo. So the tent which is cone shaped tent were called the Ribo. These are strong and warm and protected from the icy strong winds, because it is outside, they are actually they are stitches and they call their Ribo. Yak here is woven to make these strip which are stitched together. So the yak here is actually very warm here, and they are very warm. So inside the tent it was warm, and nylon at the base of there it was a nylon tent. So these all were very warm and they protect them from the icy strong wind. I saw the strips were tightly tied with the 9 sticks. The ground is dug about 2 feet deep. The tent is then put up around this on the higher part of the ground. So this tent was very, Ribo was very particular and a very typical type of tent. The shape of the tent was cone shape, and all over the 9 strips of woven strips which were woven from the yak here, it was being accumulated to make this tent, and the Ribo is on the higher side of the ground, and the 2 feet is being dug to make the base stronger. Okay, 2 feet deep dug, it was just to make the thing very strong. The tent is then put up around this on the higher part of the ground. So this is all about the Ribo. Here the famous Pashmina, the shawl is being shown in the picture. This is the Pashmina shawl. As we stepped into the tent, I realized that I could stand up straight. It was not like my tent. I saw that Ribo was as big as a room as my flat in the Mumbai. So Ribo is a very big tent, because they have to make just like the house, no? So they can live there. Maybe they have to live there for a long time. That's why they make them comfortable. I saw that Ribo was as big as room as I have a flat in Mumbai. It was held up by 2 wooden poles in the middle, and there was an opening to let out the smoke from the chula. Nagmayal told that the design of the tent is more than 1,000-year old. So it is not a new version of the tent. This type of tents nomadic people make 1,000 years before the 1,000 years. So it is an ancient practice they were making this type of tent to make themselves comfortable within the tent. The tent protected the Changpas from the extreme cold, as it is woven from the yak here. So, it was a very extremely heated and the warm tent which protect the Changpas or the people of that community, so that they do not get any kind of, so they be safe within that tent. Near the river there was a place to keep sheep and goat, and there was another place for keeping their sheep and goat, and this place is called the lekhan. The wall of the lekhan made with the stones, so it was also protected from the stone wall. Each family puts a special mark on their animal, so that they can recognize which animal belong to them. The women and young girls count and take the animal out of the lekha. And for the in the time of their grazing, the women of the family or the girls of the family, what type of mark they have made on their animal, they count them and they bring them for the grazing, so that they can feed them. For the Changpa, their animals are very important part of their life. Is any animal part of your life? For example, as a pet, as a helper in the farming. So, we are living in the plains, and farming is our very important work. So, in villages you will see cow and these bullocks are very important for them, as they do the chash, or they are helpful for, and milkmen are having the buffalo, and the cows are very important. And a person whose livelihood is ikka or tanga, those person are having horses important. So, some animals as a pet or for our livelihood are very important. Now, towards the Srinagar, tomorrow or the next day we will complete it, okay, and then we will write the question answers. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day and go through the chapter. You will come to know all the notes. Okay, goodbye.